Creativity springs from the yearning to be the fullness of who you are. Ram Dass. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. Rumi. Well, here I am at my table. I'm just laying out everything that I've been dyeing recently, from these amazing Margolin silks to make silk scarves. This is the Margolin silk in its natural state, and these are the ones that I've dyed. This one actually is a piece of cheesecloth, and this one is a piece of Margolin silk, but it's actually what they call ponge silk, so it's a bit not as fine. Can you see? It's not as fine as the gauze. And so those are my hanks of silk. Then I've been dyeing some silk batting, which is just absolutely stunning, and then you pull it apart and just lay it out on your work. I've also got this amazing bamboo and I think it's Texel, which I've hand dyed, and it's taken the colour really beautifully. It's very shiny. And then I've got some silk hankies, more silk hankies here, and this one too. And then I've got lots and lots of little pieces of silk, as well as some wool nets. Nets are just waste really that's gathered off the floors in the factories in the warehouse that are processing the wool. And it's kind of like the stuff that you pull off your jumper, your wool jumper, when it's got a bit bobbly. And those are the bubbles, but they work beautifully when you're making things. And this is just a little bowl that I made with some of these silks a few weeks ago. Just my little stash of silk threads. And then that's some of the yarns that I hand dyed last year actually. I'll show you some more of that one day. Some more silk hankies that I've done. This is some yarn that I actually bought in. I just love that colour. And then if you look at the back of my table, I've actually prepared all this because I'm taking all these wonderful wares to Norway, where I'm going on a felting retreat with meditation, yoga, wild swimming, hiking and felting to make beautiful things like journal covers, slippers, a bag. This is actually my laptop case, and if you go closer you can see all the different gorgeous textures that you get using sari silk. It's just a fabulous array, or a riot of colour. And here's some things that I've made earlier on some of my videos that you can find online. And of course lots of sample pieces, greys and coppers, golds, silvers. And then these are the kind of things that I might put in my work. Silk ribbons, hand-dyed silk velvet. These are some velvets that I dyed last year. Such beautiful shine in your work. Sequins, lots of different sari colours, lots of different coloured yarns. And these are the pieces of silks, similar to the scarves over there, but shorter pieces that I can use to put into the work. Rainbow, greens, blues, pinks, gold, copper. Yeah, so I just thought you might like to see some of the things that I'm taking with me to Norway. And there's just a little thing that I like to remind myself. I choose to live by choice, not chance, to be motivated, not manipulated, to be useful, not used, to make changes, not excuses, to excel, not compete. I choose self-esteem, not self-pity. I choose to listen to my inner voice and not to the random opinion of others. See you later. It's so unbelievably dry. I'm at the top of what is normally a boggy hill, and it's just so dry. We've had a tiny bit of rain, but this is ridiculous. I mean, you can just see, like, it's crazy. Where has all the rain gone? Not that I'm complaining. We're getting some beautiful weather here in the UK, in the north. But yeah, you can see it's got really green in the last few days, just with a splattering of rain. Like, we have been dry for what feels like 2 months. I'm in my studio, and this is on my back wall. When I was making my studio, it's one of the first things I painted in here. Creativity springs from the yearning to be the fullness of who you are. It's a beautiful quote by Ram Dass. And then another quote is within it from Rumi, a famous Sufi poet from the 13th century. And he said, "Let the beauty of what you love be what you do." And I made up this mandala to put the words in. And that's how I try to live my life. Hello, have you come to see what I'm up to? Hi there, I'm just going to collect some of these nettles, is that okay? So I just take the top part, just the top few leaves, because these are the freshest ones. I don't take the whole stem. The older they are, the tougher they are to eat, and they can also be a bit bitter if they're not young and little. These are about 6 inches high, these young ones, so these are just perfect. There's one slightly bigger here, but that's still okay. What you don't want to do is pick them when they start flowering, because they produce something that's not good for you. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I will put it in the comments book. I think it's calcium. I can't remember exactly what it is. But yeah, so do be mindful that you only take the tops and that you only take the young ones. And also make sure your gloves are really thick. These are super thick building gloves, and I don't get stung through these. You can take quite a bit of the thing, or you can just pick the top leaves. But the older and the bigger the leaves, then they won't make the soup as sweet. So, sounds like somebody's calling me. So I've got myself some nettles out of the garden to make some young nettle soup. Oh, it's a dog's life. So first we rinse the nettles. And then we rinse and drain them, taking care not to touch them with your hands because they're still very stingy at this point. So when they're well washed, then we can take them to the steamer. So here I'm steaming the nettles just for like about 2 minutes until wilted. And then one of the key things to thicken your soup is boil potatoes first, allowing the starch to come out of the potatoes, and then you add them to the soup afterwards. Then make sure that your gorgeous nettle flavour is retained. That's about enough. Let's just have a look. You can see they're nice and wilted. So all the sting will have gone, and now they're ready to just lay out on a cold surface just to cool down, making sure there's nothing random that's slipped in there, even though I did wash them. And then you just leave them to cool down, and then you can chop them and add them to your soup. Now they're cooked, they don't sting anymore. I'm still a bit tentative about touching them because you always think, it's going to hurt. My brain's saying, don't do that. But they smell delicious, and it is like one of the most beautiful soups you can eat. And you'll pay top dollar for this in a posh restaurant. And it's such a simple thing because here it is right out of the garden. Fantastic. And now for my soup base, I'm going to chop up a leek, an onion, some celery would have been good as well, and then a little bit of butter, and then just fry it up for a few minutes before I add the cooled down nettles. And chop it up and just fry it off in the butter. And then chop up an onion too. So I've just sautéed the onion, the celery and the leek in some butter. I've boiled some potatoes, which I'm now going to drain because they thicken the soup. But if you cook them in the soup, then the starch water can make the soup taste a bit overpowering. And to be honest, you want to keep the delicious taste of these beautiful greens. So I'm going to add it all together, and then I'm going to blitz it. So once blended, just serve and enjoy. And I'm going to put a little bit of creme fraiche just to sit on the top there. You can use cream if you like, but I like a little bit of creme fraiche. Oh, and a little sprig of and there you have it. So I've got some salt and pepper, and I'm just going to serve it with some seeded toast, cranberry and pumpkin seed. Lovely jubbly. So I'll see you later. Enjoy. So I'm back out into the garden and nature is blooming, along with my newest creations. I've been doing some samples as well as making some beautiful scarves with some of my hand-dyed silks. If you'd like to see what I've made, I will post them in another video. They're just drying here in the sun and they're wet. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to look out for my silk scarf courses, and I'll show you some others that I make, and I also sell them on my Etsy shop. Take care everybody, and I hope you're having a beautiful spring. Much love.